you to Zdenka for inviting me from all the way from Vietnam. It's a pleasure to hear all of your rationalizations. I can't help but feel that my concepts are coming from a very different approach and relation to time and space. I didn't do a presentation, but I do have a short excerpt of a Philippine filmmaker who extrapolates my concept of kapwa. But before that, I just wanted to share a couple of very domestic encounters to give you a little bit of an introduction to how kapwa is a part of everyday life. When I first moved to Asia in 2007, I moved to China. One of the key questions I was asking myself is, how is historical consciousness remembered in communities and societies that have greatly suffered violence in the destruction of their cultural material? So after the Cultural Revolution, and in Vietnam, we're talking about since the first millennia, they have been occupied. There's only been 2 dynasties that they were operating under their own, and the rest has been under someone else. So how is historical consciousness actually experienced? My first day inside the very small gallery space that I run, which is started by artists, I was ushered into the kitchen, and I was told, you must pay your respects. And that was the day of the kitchen god. The day of the kitchen god is a very important day in the Buddhist calendar that you must respect. As the director, it was my job to usher in the day with offerings. Secondly, the second floor of our gallery space holds a shrine. It's a teak wooden shrine of Glossary, one of the key Buddhist shrines. And it is a regular point of entry for the staff. The first thing they do every morning is they give offering. My first week of moving into Saigon, it's 4 a.m, and a brass band pump up downstairs in full-fledged garments, and it's a 16-piece band, and there's cake, and there's wine, and there's a lot of drinking, and it's 4 a.m, and it's a funeral procession. And under Buddhist thinking, you also must depart the world the moment that you were born. So it's very important that this procession takes place also with a certain amount of duration. And I find all of these aspects telling for how artists are approaching ideas of time in their work. It isn't a direct teleological experience. It's a layered sense of relationship to our ghosts. So when you were talking about losers and ghosts, I have garlic all the way through our gallery space. My residency program also has garlic through all of the hallways because apparently it's haunted. And it's the ghosts of the family that once owned it that live and are respected inside that presence. So my relationship to art making has become something embracive of a whole other kind of time. And kapwa was a word that was actually given to me fairly recently. When I say given to me, I had the pleasure of spending a week and a half with Kidlat Tahimik. He is the father of Philippine independent cinema and a member of the third cinema movement that came out of Latin America, which is a basic anti-capitalist, neo-colonial form of filmmaking that believes the genre should not wholly be perceived as a commercial practice, and it has its own sense of time and need inside that, and basically denies any sense of economy. It stands like Chris Marker, Jean-Luc Godard as a part of this community. But when I spent this time with Kidlat, I came to be really respectful of how he approaches his films. He basically will take footage every day of his life, and he is continuously remaking his films. There's very few that are finished. So just to understand a little bit about kapwa, Kidlat Tahimik is someone who lives in Baguio. He's in the hills. He lives with the Ifugao tribe. He's been adopted by a particular indigenous tribe in the Philippines. And he grew up basically adopted by these tribesmen who have been denied presence by the Philippine state. And that Philippine state is largely adopting American ideals and values. The school system in the Philippines is American. So for Kidlat, he went to America as a young student and was completely in idealization of the whole industry of filmmaking. His first film was produced by Werner Herzog and distributed by Francis Ford Coppola. So he was in that ilk of a generation. But then he decided that he was losing touch with his kapwa. He started to understand that his community was being one step removed by adopting the capitalist ideas of image making. And so for most of his life, he moved from 8mm, 16mm, he's now working in digital. But he very much believes in what he calls kapwa in Tagalog, and in Buddhist psychologies, I would term that as a form of presence. Presence being where we are intrinsically in touch with who we are in any one point. And I think that is very, I would call that non-activity in a way. To be utterly present, we are non-active. We are sitting in a form of meditation, actually. So just to read a little bit of what I wrote so that it's clear. It is an Asian psychology, this idea of kapwa. It has resonances across the whole of the Asian region, particularly anchored in Confucian thought, which is the family unit as the basic pillar of a society, where the self is an integral part of the other, and every act of that individual is imprinted on the collective and vice versa. I think that I might actually stop talking here and show the film, because I think it actually shows it much better than I do. So, how much time do I have? You could go on forever. Okay. How do I... Seven maximum. This is one thing that I didn't check. I need to be able to drop this into... Do you have VLC on this computer? Yeah. How do I get it open in that? Sorry, I'm a Mac girl. Oh, here we go. Is that it?
Bridges have been washed away.
In America, Japan and Germany.
Landslides everywhere because of so much rain from Typhoon Glory. Some of the slides here have come within a stone's throw of our house. Papa is afraid that the next typhoon season may bring our house down. Hopefully we go down in slow motion. That may even be fun.
Typhoon Gloria has left the Philippines and is now in the China Sea, leaving behind millions of meters of damage. Landslides have cut off Baguio City from the rest of the country. The three major roads to Baguio are impassable. Cannon Road may be closed to traffic for 6 months as 3 bridges have been washed away. Highway engineers expect to clear Marcos Highway within 48 hours.
This is
The
1980s
next weather
Philippines.
report will come at 10 a.m. here on AFN, American Forces Network.
It's out?
Galing, Kidlat. You're a real third world dentist.
What means third world?
I'll tell you later. Hold that tooth up again, Kidlat. In America and Japan and Germany, it's mainly machines at work, like bulldozers, earth movers. Here, people power moves things.
Ah, third world is people powered?
More muscle with less help from machines. You know, third world is a way of life. A route for surviving without wasting. Third world means more reliance on your own energy instead of artificial energy like electricity. And the more dependent you are on your own strength, this means more independence. If you chop wood by hand or if you use power saw, this affects the way you attack your bigger problems.
Third world is a way of solving problems?
Yes, third world is a way of solving problems.
Meet my family. Picasso just had puppies. Although her name is Spanish, Picasso is a third world bitch. That's Zwiebel. Her German name means onion, but she's as third world as galunggong.
It's a big word for you, huh? Third world. Kidlat, you seem to be obsessed with that new word, but don't overuse it.
And our owl, Co-op. We tried to convert him into a vegetarian, but it wasn't a good idea. And Isis, we found in the streets of Manila, thin and full of worms. She's gained weight since, but Isis still loves her third world breakfast. Meet my mother, a stained glass artist, combining old German glass with a Filipino shell. Nanay is not third world like Picasso or Isis. Commando filmmaker and his spaghetti machine. That's what he calls his 20-year-old movie camera.
Kidlat, one day we'll make our own third world spaghetti. Till then I'm stuck with Rochester spaghetti. Action! Kiss her. Kiss. Kiss her. Stop looking at camera.
When he is cranking out spaghetti, Tata is a real
Look at
madman.
the camera, okay? Now, when I tell you, give it peanut. You give the peanut gently. Ready? Okay. Give the peanut. Nini, give the peanut. Nini, give the peanut now. Nini, I told you!
We are proud that Camp John Hay Recreation Center is serving to preserve democracy in the Philippines and in the Pacific region. As we dedicate the Statue of Liberty, we pledge that the United States protective umbrella will keep this part of the world free.
Look at that. That's a third world pianist serenading a first world libertine. Crazy, no?
Class, next week we are going to celebrate United Nations Day. Vlad, we are chosen to represent our class as Mr. Germany.
Mom, was Germany ever third world?
Third year I wear my lederhosen. Since grade 1, I have been Mr. Germany. Maybe because of my German nose. Will I ever represent the Philippines?
Just to give a bit of background there, that was Kidlat's son walking down the stairs. And Kidlat's son is half German, half Philippine. And so the whole film basically is showing where kapwa is being challenged by American ideals of liberalization. And a lot of Kidlat's work challenges how economy and politics are affecting local ideas of kapwa. And he spent most of his life trying to resist. But he himself is in a dilemma with that because he also recognizes that his work circulates inside that sphere of discourse. There's a lot more to say on this topic. We don't have time.
his thought into this term. But this is a big influence in Vietnam. Yeah.
Thich Nhat Hanh is considered one of Vietnam's most he's actually dying right now. He had a brain hemorrhage last month, so there's an entire mourning process already happening in Vietnam for Thich Nhat Hanh. He's thinking about presence. If there's another word that I would say should be considered from my point of view, if we think about subjectivization, is the spiritual notion of being present to Southeast Asia is extremely important in understanding self. You cannot understand the self without being utterly present, and that sense of present is about understanding yourself in the moment of nothingness. Impermanence is Buddhist, nothingness Zen, and they overlap quite a lot. Yes. Yes. So I'm going to find it really interesting when we get time to actually discussing terminologies, because I feel like a lot of the terms are discussed according to museum practice and museologies of display, whereas where I'm coming from, the practice of art making is entirely socialized. It's lived and utterly experienced outside of a designated space or cube. And so memory is respected and circulated and verbalized in very different kinds of formats.